Jake is an ordinary office worker who suddenly gets thrown into a deadly multiverse tutorial with his coworkers. At first, he is shy and unsure of himself, but everything changes when the world collapses into a survival game filled with monsters. While trying to survive, he slowly grows stronger as he fights dangerous beasts, completes dungeons, and unlocks powerful skills linked to a hidden bloodline called the Primal Hunter. As time passes, Jake becomes more skilled, more confident, and far more dangerous than anyone expects. Gradually, Jake starts to turn into an apex predator who learns to dominate the brutal system around him. The forest is quiet. Jake should be afraid. He isn't. He notices that first, the absence of fear, and what replaces it is something he has never felt before. His hands are steady, his eyes are sharp. Every sound in this forest makes sense to him in a way nothing in his old life ever did. Before all of this, Jake was the kind of man who rehearsed what to say in elevators, eye contact tips on his phone. He moved cities for a fresh start and spent the first 3 months eating lunch alone at his desk. That was his life. 3 weeks ago. At work, he stays quiet until Adam invites him to lunch. In the elevator, things suddenly turn strange. The building shakes, alarms ring, and fear fills the room. Then everything goes dark, and a glowing message appears saying a mysterious tutorial has begun. Far away from Earth, on another planet, a strange creature also sees the message and says, "Humans will be easy to kill." Before Jake can understand anything, he is suddenly no longer in the elevator. He is alone in a strange place. A creature appears and says it will guide him, while a timer starts. A blue screen appears with numbers he doesn't understand, and a single question: choose your class. He picks Archer. It feels right in the same way nothing else in his life ever did. Soon, Jake is teleported, a flicker of excitement running through him. The world shifts, and then he's in a forest, standing with his coworkers in full battle gear. For the first time, Jake feels like he is exactly where he's supposed to be. As the ground beneath them starts shaking, Adam stays calm and tells them to move step by step. Adam says they should first find shelter, water, and food. As they move, Jake remembers seeing other pillars and realizes there must be other survivors. By the second day, they manage to find their rhythm. Adam tracks, Jake shots, Caroline keeps them alive. It is not much, but it is enough. That night, they sit by a fire. Caroline praises Jake's archery, but he feels shy and stays quiet. Adam asks Jake to help lead, but Jake refuses. Later, during Night Watch, Jake speaks about his past love and betrayal, while Joanna worries about her husband and leaves in tears. Joanna chooses to talk to Jake, and Caroline even remembers his name, which makes him feel things could change. Suddenly, a scream comes from the forest. Jake quickly grabs his bow and runs toward it. He finds Joanna surrounded by 3 men asking about her group, but she refuses to speak. One of them drives a blade into her leg, making her scream in pain. Jake shoots arrows, killing one man, while another chases him. Jake attacks from the shadows, but the man fights back hard. Jake sees Joanna badly hurt and realizes another enemy is behind him, along with an archer. Surrounded, Jake thinks it is over. Then something shifts inside him that has no name. His breathing slows. The noise of the fight drops away. He can feel where the next arrow is coming from before it leaves the bow. He moves before he decides to move. Whatever this is, it is not fear. It is the opposite. He then fights the last man closely and kills him. When his group arrives, everything is over. Jake simply says he has won, smiling in a strange way. Jake learned a long time ago that doing the right thing and being punished for it feel exactly the same. He had stopped being surprised by that. Back in the present, Caroline rushes to him, worried about the blood, but Jake says it is not his. A system screen shows he gains experience and a new skill called Bloodline of the Primal Hunter. Adam asks about the attack, and Jake says it is likely for points, suggesting they rethink how to survive. Caroline then blames Jake for Joanna being alone and badly injured. Jake tries to explain, but Adam questions his actions. Feeling upset, Jake argues back, saying Joanna lives because of him and that the world has changed. After this, Jake walks away. The next morning, he wakes up and finds Casper beside him. Surprised, the group has not left him. Casper says they think about leaving, but the group decides to work together. Jake remembers how he and Casper are close at their old job and bond over their bad love lives. Soon, Joanna appears with one leg missing, but she stands strong. Casper explains they cannot save her leg, so this is her choice, hoping she can be healed later. Jake is shocked, but sees how strong Caroline is too. While training, everyone tries their best, and Jake notices Bertram and Joanna improving, but Caroline stands out the most. Jake and Caroline still are not talking, so he acts like nothing happens. Later, Jake tests his ability with Casper, but it fails since there is no real danger. Adam then tells them to rest, and they find a cave. Inside, strange sounds start, and the cave begins breaking. Jake tells everyone to run as rocks fall. He sees Caroline struggling behind and fears she will not escape in time. Remember this moment. Jake walking away from the group is not confidence. It is the beginning of a mistake he will spend the rest of this arc trying to fix. Jake quickly runs toward Caroline and saves her just before a large rock falls, but the path gets blocked, leaving them separated from the group. He asks if she is okay, and she says yes. When Adam calls from the other side, Jake tells Caroline to stay quiet because the cave is unstable and dangerous. The group realizes they cannot break through the rocks, so Adam decides they should move ahead and hope to meet again later. Jake agrees and chooses to move forward with Caroline, though he worries about keeping her safe. Caroline stays confident and says they will survive. Meanwhile, Adam begins to doubt his decision, but Bertram says Jake and Caroline have the best chance to survive. He also feels uneasy about Jake, remembering his strange smile after the fight. Adam still trusts him. Back in the cave, Caroline notices Jake is injured and decides to heal him, despite their earlier disagreement. Caroline tells Jake to stay still and begins healing him while he stands quietly, not knowing what to say. She warns him to be more careful, saying strength does not make him unbeatable and her healing has limits. Jake asks why she chooses to be a healer, and she asks why he chooses Archer. Jake says it feels right for survival, and Caroline says the same. She explains that healers are always needed, even if not popular. She shares that her younger brother is sick, and they stay close by playing games where she is often made the healer. Over time, she sees that healers are always valued and protected. Jake finds her thinking smart. Caroline then wonders if he has ever really understood her. After finishing, they move deeper into the cave and reach two paths. Jake feels something strange ahead. In the dark, many small blue eyes appear, watching them silently. Jake stands at a dark path in the cave, feeling both careful and excited. He senses something strong inside and wants to go there. He tells Caroline they should check it, but she is shocked and disagrees. Jake says strong danger means more experience and they need it to survive. Caroline reminds him their goal is to find their friends, not chase fights. Jake argues the path might still lead to them, but she says it is too risky. He believes the system wants them to take hard paths, but she tells him to stop treating everything like a game. Jake realizes he just wants to fight, not for a real reason. Caroline says survival matters more and not everyone wants this new life. Jake finally agrees to take the safer path. Meanwhile, the group keeps searching for them, growing worried, but Adam refuses to stop looking. Adam wants to keep moving and searching, believing they can still find the others. Bertram stops him and says they should wait, especially because Joanna is badly hurt and struggling to stand. Joanna says she is fine, but Adam still pushes forward. Suddenly, Casper hears something and tells everyone to stay quiet. The group becomes tense as the cave feels tighter and darker. Casper senses something coming closer, but then Jake and Caroline appear from the shadows. Everyone feels relieved. Caroline says they are fine and asks to find a safer place. Then Joanna sees a spider and kills it, later apologizing. Casper says it is harmless and tries to release it, but more spiders begin appearing. Jake warns them to move, but Casper stays calm. Suddenly, a spider bites Casper's neck and he cannot move. More spiders surround them and panic grows. Then a huge yellow spider comes out of the darkness, looking very dangerous. Later, Adam goes to find Caroline, who is busy working for Richard. He tells her Casper is hurt, then jokes about Casper noticing his secret visits. Caroline laughs and says Adam always brings the topic back to Jake, telling him to move on, though Adam admits he is still worried since Jake has been gone for weeks. Caroline says Jake can handle himself and jokes he is probably doing something dangerous. Elsewhere in the dungeon, Jake is collecting mushrooms and complaining about them, while Cecil teases him. Jake says he has to eat them to learn about poisons as there is nothing else to eat. Cecil jokes about eating moss, but Jake ignores it. Back in the library, Jake asks for a mana potion to keep working on alchemy. Cecil suggests he rest. Then suddenly Jake starts grunting in pain. Black veins begin to spread on his hand. Even so, he keeps trying to make a cure, but fails repeatedly. Cecil tries to calm him down, explaining his low stats might be the problem, and warns about overusing potions. But Jake is not giving up. The pain strikes again. Jake grunts, this time even more intensely. In the mirror, the immense growth of poison stuns Jake as he stares at himself, realizing this is not good. Adam goes to meet Richard after being called. Richard tells him the camp is running low on meat because a hunting team fails, so he wants Adam's group to go deeper into the forest to hunt. Adam is worried about the danger but agrees after Richard says his team will help if needed. Adam asks to take Caroline, but Richard refuses, saying he keeps teams separate. He also asks Adam to leave Casper behind to fix the camp defenses, as there might be intruders. Later, Adam's group hunts deep in the forest and kills several strong beasts. While they prepare the meat, Adam tells William to clean himself at the river. As William walks away, he feels annoyed with Adam and Richard and thinks badly about them. Near the river, he hears voices and sees 3 unknown people hiding. He watches them carefully, wondering about their strength. Suddenly, one of them notices movement and warns the others that someone is hiding nearby. William realizes he has been seen and feels nervous, but but quickly tries to stay calm. He comes out of the bushes with his hands up, pretending to be harmless and saying he is lost. The archer does not believe him and shoots an arrow close to his head. When told to drop his weapons, William pretends to agree but suddenly attacks, dodging arrows and throwing daggers. He escapes into the trees, then uses his magic to control his daggers and kills all 3 enemies quickly. After the fight, he checks their levels and seems pleased. Soon, Lyra arrives and is shocked to see the bodies. William stops pretending and moves toward her coldly. William walks back into camp, wiping his hands on his jacket. Adam asks where Lyra is. He says he hasn't seen her. Behind him, downstream, the water runs a different color than it did this morning. William did not kill Lyra in a rage. He did it the same way he does everything, calmly, efficiently, and without a second thought. That is the part that should frighten you. After collecting mushrooms, Cecil returns and calls out for Jake, but there is no reply. Worried, he searches the library and finds Jake lying unconscious on the floor beside many scattered potions. Cecil rushes to him and tries to wake him. He notices Jake's veins have turned black, showing the poison has become worse. Quickly, Cecil gives him a health potion, and after a moment, Jake slowly wakes up. Feeling weak, Jake says he is very tired. Cecil guesses he has pushed himself too hard, seeing many empty potion bottles around. Jake says he has made about 50 potions and wants to try making poison next. Cecil tells him to rest, but Jake refuses, saying there is no time. He compares Cecil's advice to his old co-workers, calling it cowardly. This upsets Cecil, and after Jake repeats it, Cecil knocks the bowl from his hand and leaves angrily, saying Jake can gather his own mushrooms. The next day, Jake is alone and still thinking about it. Jake thinks about going after Cecil to apologize, but decides to keep working, believing Cecil will understand later. He focuses on offensive alchemy and learns to make necrotic poison, which he successfully creates on his first try. Excited, he calls Cecil, who returns but is still upset and responds coldly. Soon, Jake receives a system message that he has reached level 24 in alchemy and gains 2 stat points, which he adds to wisdom. Another message says he can evolve his profession. Jake asks what that means, but Cecil does not know. A warning appears saying delaying it could slow his progress, so Jake accepts. Suddenly, the room begins shaking, and everything twists around them. When it stops, they are no longer in the library, but in a new place. As Jake looks around, he senses someone nearby. A strange man with white scales and reptile eyes steps out, watching them closely. Jake pushed the one person in this dungeon who actually cares about him out the door. He knows it. He keeps working anyway. This is his oldest pattern. Jake stands still, feeling uneasy, even though there is no clear danger. The strange man with white scales speaks again, asking who they are. Suddenly, he appears right in front of them, moving so fast it feels unreal. Jake tries to stay calm and explains he has been working on alchemy before being brought there. The man gives a careless greeting and then rudely introduces himself as the Malefic Viper. Jake is confused, expecting something more powerful. The man then changes form, turning into a huge dragon with wings, showing his true identity. Cecil is shocked and speaks with respect, saying he believes in the Viper. The Viper finds this amusing and returns to human form. Jake makes it clear he is not a follower, just someone who enters the dungeon. The Viper laughs loudly, saying he creates the dungeon, and finds it funny that Jake has survived everything inside. Before Jake can blink, the library is gone. They are standing in a hall the size of a city block, and the ceiling is made of stars. The Viper sits on a throne at the far end, as if he has been there the whole time. Jake likes the idea, but refuses immortality, saying risk makes life exciting. Cecil panics and apologizes for Jake, but Jake stays calm. The Viper explains that power does not change who someone truly is, and that many strong beings fail mentally over time. Jake notices sadness in him and tells him to try a different way instead of giving up. Cecil fears Jake will anger the Viper, but the Viper stays calm, and even says he likes Jake. They later relax together, joking and talking. A god built this dungeon to find someone exactly like Jake. Think about what that means. Think about how many people tried before him and did not make it out. They are so deep in their conversation that Jake even misses the notification of his bloodline ability being evolved. Viper tells Jake that he finds this interesting, and Jake asks him if he knows what it means. This is when Viper casually reveals that he destroyed a universe. Before leaving, the Viper accepts Jake as his alchemist and gives him a small mark of power. After they leave, the Viper decides to watch Jake closely. Adam, William, and Bertram return to camp, but Lyra is missing. Their silence makes Casper uneasy as he greets them and speaks about the fence he builds, but they do not respond. Adam avoids eye contact and quietly says her name, making Casper worry. When Casper asks where Lyra is, Adam says they do not know, and that she has disappeared in the forest. William explains they search for hours but find nothing. Adam repeats that she is gone, and Casper cannot believe it. A week later, in Richard's office, a man reports about William. He says William might be a problem and offers to deal with him, noting that he already has people secretly watching him. William is shown working at a forge. Richard decides to leave him alone for now, saying William is arrogant but skilled, and can still be useful if controlled properly. William then thinks about a future war and looks forward to gaining power from it. Later, Adam brings the arrowheads to Casper, who says he avoids William. When asked, Casper says he suspects William in Lyra's disappearance. Adam notices Casper is stressed and tries to calm him, but Casper gets angry and tells him to leave. Adam warns that Casper's behavior is worrying others, especially with the dangerous traps he is making. Casper replies that threats are real and he is preparing for them. Jake is doing intense training when Cecil comes in and asks if he is ready. Jake finishes his push-ups and says he has been training for 30 minutes. He feels stronger, but still wishes his endurance is higher. Cecil warns him not to overdo it, reminding him of the poison still in his body. A system alert shows he has only a few hours left before it becomes deadly. Jake smiles and accepts the challenge. At the camp, Caroline meets William and warns him to stay away from Hayden's camp, because tension is rising. William agrees, while Caroline mentions Casper acting strange and setting traps. Later, it is revealed that Caroline's warning is part of a plan. In Richard's office, she confirms that William will go after Casper. Richard says both William and Casper are becoming problems. Caroline defends Casper, saying he is grieving, but Richard believes his behavior is more dangerous than that. He is alone in the forest, calling Lyra's name, but no one answers. At a stream, he sees two wild animals fighting over her body. He scares them away and rushes to her. She is pale and not breathing. She is dead. Casper cries, holds her, and shouts in pain. Then he sees clean cuts on her body, including a deep stab wound. He realizes it is not animals. He thinks of William and feels anger. Then a voice comes from the dark, low and close, as if it has been standing there the whole time. It asks if he wants to bring Lyra back. Casper does not hesitate. He says yes! He follows the voice into a cave, carrying her body, walking deeper until the light behind him disappears completely. Back in the present, Richard says Casper has changed and is now unstable. Caroline says it is cruel, but Richard says this world is cruel. Later, Casper waits in the forest, and William appears. They face each other, ready. Casper just made a deal with something in the dark. He does not know what it cost him yet. He will find out. Casper breaks the silence and says he thinks William will not come. William replies that Caroline has warned him, but he comes anyway. He says Casper has been staring at him and clearly wants a fight. Casper tells him to stop pretending and accuses him of killing Lyra. William stays calm and says even if it is true, there is no point fighting, as he is stronger. Casper becomes angry, thinking of Lyra. He remembers meeting her, feeling shy, and how she likes him. Later, she asks him out, and he nervously agrees before she kisses his cheek. Back in the present, Casper asks if William has ever lost someone he loves. William answers coldly that fighting will not bring her back. Casper says love makes everything different, and he wants justice. William calls it illogical. Casper says William can never understand. William grows annoyed, grabs his wand, and warns Casper. Casper says he is not afraid to die. William attacks with daggers, but Casper blocks them easily. Casper throws one back, misses, then reveals it is never meant to hit. The dagger flies past William and hits a spot that activates one of Casper's traps. Suddenly, many arrows shoot toward William, forcing him to react fast. He uses his magic to block them with a shield. Casper rushes forward with his spear, attacking again and again while William dodges. Then another trap snaps shut on William's legs, but he quickly breaks free with magic. Casper strikes again and manages to cut him slightly. William steps back, surprised, and summons many daggers in the air, sending them all at once. Casper stands still as a dark aura forms around him. His power disrupts William's control, slowing the daggers. He says he has gained power from a deal and calls it resentment of the fallen. William panics and falls. Regretting all his past decisions that led to him to this situation, William starts begging for his life. Casper, however, never intended to kill William. Killing a mere witness is stupidity, according to Casper. William is still shaken, apologizing for the unnecessary fight, a menacing stare and a straight face. Casper simply wishes to never meet Casper again as he disappears in black smoke. Later, he appears before cloaked figures who welcome him into the afterlife. The man who turned off his brother's life support without blinking, on the ground, begging. Casper did this in one fight. Casper disappears in black smoke, leaving William shocked and confused. He stands still, thinking about the strong power Casper uses, which comes from emotion, and he wants that power too. Far away, Jake sits quietly, meditating while poison spreads through his body. Cecil watches him with worry, seeing the dark veins and pain, and wonders how Jake stays calm. Jake tells Cecil to stop staring, saying he can sense everything because of his bloodline. Cecil says time is almost up, but Jake stays calm and says he will act when ready. He compares it to exams and archery, saying panic makes things worse. Cecil suggests prayer, and Jake remembers meeting the malefic viper. He shows his blessing and admits it helps him grow stronger. Then Jake closes his eyes, and for the first time in his life tries praying. He gets 3 seconds into it before he stops. Starts again. Different approach. If you let me die in here, I will find you wherever gods go after they're done. I will make your afterlife miserable. I do not make empty threats. Cecil is shocked when Jake insults a god and warns him it is dangerous, but Jake laughs and says the viper probably likes it. Suddenly, Jake feels sharp pain and starts coughing blood as the poison gets worse. Even then, he stays calm and says he will not give up after everything he has been through. He checks the timer and sees he has about 44 minutes left to make a cure. Jake quickly begins working, preparing ingredients and carefully mixing them while fighting pain and dizziness. Cecil helps by bringing supplies. Jake injects mana into the mixture and focuses hard. Soon a notification says he creates an unstable malefic vital potion. It has strong energy but will decay fast. Unsure if it will work, and with time almost gone, Jake drinks it. Cecil wishes him luck. At first nothing changes, but as the timer ends, a sudden wave of intense pain hits Jake's whole body. He just threatened a god, and the god is going to love it. These two deserve each other. Cecil panics as Jake falls, gasping and saying he cannot breathe. The poison spreads, freezing his body and tightening his chest. Cecil grabs potions and begs him to hold on. Jake feels his strength fading and even imagines Adam asking if he will give up. Jake refuses and forces himself to stand, shaking in pain. Cecil stops, shocked, as Jake says the antidote has finally started working. The black veins slowly fade and the poison pulls back. Jake whispers that he is alive, then shouts it with relief. Cecil celebrates with him. Far away, the malefic viper watches and says, Jake has done well, surviving through strong will. A system message appears saying Jake has cleared the dungeon and rewards will come soon. Jake looks around and says he has little to carry. Then he asks Cecil if he will come with him. Cecil freezes, surprised, unsure what to say. Cecil asks Jake if he really wants him to come along, and Jake says yes without thinking. He says they are partners now and will stay together. They bump fists and Cecil gets emotional, trying to hide his tears. Jake notices, but before they can talk more, many system notifications appear. Later, as they walk out, Jake says it feels good to hold his bow again. Cecil asks if he will be rusty, and Jake says maybe, but his main worry is his low archer level. Cecil admits he cannot help much since he has no levels. Jake suggests putting him back in the necklace, but Cecil refuses, still afraid of being trapped again. Soon they leave the cave and enjoy fresh air. Suddenly, a large, lizard-like beast appears and more surround them. Cecil complains, but Jake calmly prepares his bow, saying this fight is exactly what he needs. He made a poison antidote from scratch, alone, with a 30-day timer, while actively dying. He is level 20-something. Let that sink in before we move on. A dozen raptors come out of the trees with their eyes locked on him. Jake counts them, rolls his neck once, shoots 2 arrows, killing both instantly. Then 2 more attack. Cecil warns him, and Jake dodges a bite before killing one with a clean strike to the neck. The last raptor chases Cecil, but Jake says he is busy and stays focused. Soon, more raptors appear, surrounding him with glowing eyes. Instead of fear, Jake smiles, thinking it is a test. He raises his blade and fights them head-on, striking fast and hard, injuring many. One tries to attack from behind, but Jake turns and kills it quickly. More raptors come, surrounding him again, but he stays calm, draws another blade, and prepares to continue. Nearby, Cecil watches from a hill as one raptor chases him. Just before it can reach him, Jake fires an arrow and kills it. The fight ends, and Cecil feels relieved, joking that maybe hiding earlier would have been safer. Jake says the fight is harder than he expects, but now he feels stronger after warming up. Cecil is still scared and thinks maybe hiding in the pocket space is safer, especially after almost being eaten. Then many system messages appear, giving Jake rewards, points, and stat boosts. He sees his archer level jump to 13, gaining many levels from one fight, which surprises him. He realizes it is because the enemies are stronger than him. Cecil says this means catching up will be easier now. Then Jake unlocks a new skill called Power Shot, which makes arrows stronger if he holds the string longer. Jake thinks about using it with poison for stronger attacks. Suddenly, Jake senses a powerful presence far away. Cecil suggests avoiding it, but Jake wants to face it. At the camp, Caroline sits quietly when Adam comes in, worried about Casper. She says there is no news yet, but a search will start soon, and she tries to comfort him. William sits in a room with a therapist. She asks why he is there, and he says he is forced by the court. When she asks more, he shrugs and says, "Apparently I lack empathy and am prone to violent outbursts." After pressure, he admits he killed his baby brother a year ago. The story moves to the past. William sits in a hospital with his father, who tries to make him excited about the new baby, but William shows no emotion. A doctor tells his father the baby has problems. Later, William sees the baby on life support, but feels nothing and thinks of him as a burden. 6 months later, William gets accepted into Stanford and feels happy. But his parents worry about money because of the baby's medical costs and ask him to choose a cheaper school. William becomes angry and blames the baby for ruining his life. William gently places his hand on the baby's head, then turns off the life support. The machines start beeping loudly as the baby begins to suffocate. His parents rush in, shocked and terrified. His mother cries and asks what he has done. William calmly says he has solved their money problems. His father grabs him in anger, but William shows no regret and says he is helping. A year later, William is locked in a cold facility, given drugs that make him numb. He does not understand why he is there or why his parents left him. Then one day, a blue notification appeared, starting the tutorial that changed his life. Now, in the forest after fighting Casper, William is injured and tired. He thinks about Casper's power and wants it. Feeling weak and thirsty, he searches for water. He finds a stream but hides when he hears someone nearby. Looking closely, he realizes the person is someone he knows. He was 17 years old. He said it the same way you would say you took out the recycling. This is not a villain origin story. There was no origin. This is just who he is. William pauses when he recognizes the man at the stream, Jake. Earlier, Jake reaches a huge crater left by a powerful explosion, not knowing it comes from Casper and William's fight. He studies the damage and guesses it is some kind of strange magic attack. Cecil wonders what can cause it, but Jake has no clear answer. He thinks about finding whoever does it, but Cecil chooses to hide inside the necklace instead. Later, Jake sits by a stream filling water and quietly tells Cecil someone is hiding nearby. He senses the person is strong, but not strong enough to make the crater. Jake calls out and William steps forward, acting friendly. They talk, shake hands, and William offers to guide him to a camp led by Richard and Hayden, who are now enemies. Jake agrees but stays careful. He notices William is level 24 and strong, and he doesn't fully trust him. As they walk, both stay alert, quietly watching each other. Jake asks William if he knows a man named Adam, but William suddenly stops and says he senses something nearby. Jake feels nothing, yet he stays cautious and crouches when William does. William claims he can detect hidden mana and warns of an ambush, then tells Jake to scout ahead. Jake doesn't believe him but pretends to agree, quietly watching him. As Jake moves forward, William forms magical daggers behind him and attacks. Jake reacts instantly, turning and shooting arrows to block them. He calls the trick foolish, but William attacks again with more force. Jake dodges quickly, moving through trees while William chases, trying to stay close. Suddenly, Jake strikes back, appearing beside him and stabbing his side. He says William misunderstands him and that running isn't weakness. The blade causes deadly bleeding. As Jake prepares to finish him, William activates a powerful skill, his body glowing with dangerous blue energy. William tried to kill Jake from behind 30 seconds after shaking his hand. He is not impulsive. He was never planning to let Jake reach the camp. A week before Jake and William fight, things are already tense. William goes to Richard to complain about mana potions being limited. He says it is making hunting harder, but Richard refuses, saying supplies are low and have to be controlled. William then asks for some from Richard's personal stock, but Richard shuts him down and walks away. This makes William angry. He feels disrespected and begins thinking about taking power for himself. Later, while hunting alone, he even thinks about stealing all the potions and eventually defeating Richard. During this time, he unlocks a new skill called Flashing Steel, which releases a bright blast and sharp metal shards. Back in the present, William uses this skill against Jake. A glowing orb appears and explodes, sending deadly shards everywhere. Jake tries to escape but is hit and thrown into rocks, badly injured. Even so, he believes William should be dying from the earlier wound, yet William is still running away. Soon after, Cecil comes out of the necklace, worried, and asks if Jake is alright. Jake says he is hurt but has protected his vital areas. Cecil tells him to stop chasing William as he is too weak to fight. Jake feels annoyed, realizing he has made the same mistake he warns William about by underestimating him. Cecil wonders if that strong spell causes the earlier crater, but Jake isn't sure. He admits he doesn't know how powerful others have become while he is stuck in the dungeon. If William is average, things will be tough. Cecil jokes about hiding in another dungeon, but Jake refuses and says he needs to grow stronger. Meanwhile, at Richard's camp, Caroline shows Joanna gloves she makes for Adam. Joanna smiles, but becomes sad thinking about her missing husband. Caroline comforts her, saying he might still be safe. Suddenly, an emergency call comes. Caroline rushes to Richard's office and finds William badly injured. She examines him and says he might survive, then asks Richard if saving him is truly the right choice. Richard looks at Caroline and asks if she really wants to let William die. She calmly says the poison is very strong and healing might fail, and reminds him that William has already caused a trouble in the camp. Richard refuses, saying such decisions are his to make, and orders her to save him. Caroline agrees and begins healing William using a lot of energy. While she works, they discuss who attacks him. Caroline says it doesn't match Casper's style and doesn't look like a beast either, since the wound seems like it comes from a weapon. They also doubt Hayden's group, as they haven't used such poison before. Richard then considers that a new enemy might be involved. Meanwhile, Adam speaks with Joanna, who tells him William has been brought in badly injured. Adam is shocked. Soon he sees William being carried away to Richard's cabin, and he begins to worry about everything happening around them. William finds himself in a therapy room and takes a moment to understand where he is. The doctor asks how he feels about his mother, saying she has lost both her sons. Inside, William feels angry and thinks it is wrong to compare him to his brother, but he doesn't say it. Instead, he gives a fake apology. Suddenly, Richard appears, asking if the medicine is working, but William senses something is off. The doctor speaks strangely about tutorial points, confusing him. Then black smoke appears and the doctor changes, calling William weak and useless. She turns into a large monster and keeps insulting him. William panics and asks what is happening. Then Jake appears and stabs him, leaving him frozen as everyone laughs at him. The humiliation overwhelms him until he suddenly wakes up. Breathing heavily, he realizes it is a nightmare. Looking around, he sees he is in Richard's cabin, with Caroline and Richard nearby ready to speak with him. A week before Jake and William fight, things are already tense. William goes to Richard to complain about mana potions being limited. He says it is making hunting harder, but Richard refuses, saying supplies are low and have to be controlled. William then asks for some from Richard's personal stock, but Richard shuts him down and walks away. This makes William angry. He feels disrespected and begins thinking about taking power for himself. Later, while hunting alone, he even thinks about stealing all the potions and eventually defeating Richard. During this time, he unlocks a new skill called Flashing Steel, which releases a bright blast and sharp metal shards. Back in the present, William uses this skill against Jake. A glowing orb appears and explodes, sending deadly shards everywhere. Jake tries to escape but is hit and thrown into rocks, badly injured. Even so, he believes William should be dying from the earlier wound, yet William is still running away. Soon after, Cecil comes out of the necklace, worried, and asks if Jake is alright. Jake says he is hurt but has protected his vital areas. Cecil tells him to stop chasing William as he is too weak to fight. Jake feels annoyed, realizing he has made the same mistake he warns William about by underestimating him. Cecil wonders if that strong spell causes the earlier crater, but Jake isn't sure. He admits he doesn't know how powerful others have become while he is stuck in the dungeon. If William is average, things will be tough. Cecil jokes about hiding in another dungeon, but Jake refuses and says he needs to grow stronger. Meanwhile, at Richard's camp, Caroline shows Joanna gloves she makes for Adam. Joanna smiles, but becomes sad thinking about her missing husband. Caroline comforts her, saying he might still be safe. Suddenly, an emergency call comes. Caroline rushes to Richard's office and finds William badly injured. She examines him and says he might survive, then asks Richard if saving him is truly the right choice. Richard looks at Caroline and asks if she really wants to let William die. She calmly says the poison is very strong and healing might fail, and reminds him that William has already caused a trouble in the camp. Richard refuses, saying such decisions are his to make, and orders her to save him. Caroline agrees and begins healing William using a lot of energy. While she works, they discuss who attacks him. Caroline says it doesn't match Casper's style and doesn't look like a beast either, since the wound seems like it comes from a weapon. They also doubt Hayden's group, as they haven't used such poison before. Richard then considers that a new enemy might be involved. Meanwhile, Adam speaks with Joanna, who tells him William has been brought in badly injured. Adam is shocked. Soon he sees William being carried away to Richard's cabin, and he begins to worry about everything happening around them. William finds himself in a therapy room and takes a moment to understand where he is. The doctor asks how he feels about his mother, saying she has lost both her sons. Inside, William feels angry and thinks it is wrong to compare him to his brother, but he doesn't say it. Instead, he gives a fake apology. Suddenly, Richard appears, asking if the medicine is working, but William senses something is off. The doctor speaks strangely about tutorial points, confusing him. Then black smoke appears and the doctor changes, calling William weak and useless. She turns into a large monster and keeps insulting him. William panics and asks what is happening. Then Jake appears and stabs him, leaving him frozen as everyone laughs at him. The humiliation overwhelms him until he suddenly wakes up. Breathing heavily, he realizes it is a nightmare. Looking around, he sees he is in Richard's cabin, with Caroline and Richard nearby ready to speak with him. After waking up, William looks tired. Caroline asks how he feels, and he says he is fine, but doesn't know how he gets there. Richard explains that a scout finds him unconscious in the forest and saves his life. When they ask what happens, William starts lying, saying he goes to find Casper. Richard stops him and says he already knows William wants to kill Casper, telling him to be honest. William is surprised, but Richard says he has seen through him from the start and calls him a dangerous but talented weapon. William asks if Richard wants him as a soldier, but Richard says something more: a super soldier. He offers a deal. They will help William grow stronger, and William will help him take control of the forest. William agrees, seeing the benefit. After Richard and Caroline leave, William sits quietly. Outside, Richard tells Caroline that people like William are easy to control if you feed their ego. An hour before William wakes up, Richard and Caroline are planning. Caroline still thinks letting William die is the better choice, but Richard disagrees. He says William is arrogant and believes a near-death experience will weaken him. Not to fix him, but to make him easier to control. Richard explains that once William feels broken, they can step in, praise him, and make him feel important so he becomes loyal. Caroline worries he might turn on them, but Richard says he has a special skill that lets him sense disloyalty, and it shows William is loyal for now. He also tells her she has always been loyal. Secretly, Richard has already been using William to remove people he doesn't trust. Later, he admits William is just a tool, like a dangerous dog. Once he gains power and defeats Hayden, he plans to get rid of him. Then he thinks about other people he still doesn't trust. Richard has William on a leash he thinks William cannot see. William is sharpening a knife Richard does not know about. This is going to end badly for one of them, and probably for everyone nearby. In the thick forest, Jake stands still with his bow aimed at a large, ostrich-like creature. He stays quiet for a long time, waiting for the right moment. Suddenly, Cecil returns with mushrooms and makes noise, alerting the creature. It sees Jake and tries to run, but Jake quickly fires a powerful arrow that pierces through it and hits a tree, setting it on fire. Cecil is shocked, and Jake explains it is a fully charged power shot, strong but slow to prepare and hard to use in fights. A notification shows Jake has reached level 19, but he isn't happy since progress is slowing. Cecil suggests going deeper into the forest for stronger enemies. Jake agrees but wants to avoid camps. As they travel, Jake hunts animals and gathers food. Later, they find a moss-covered wooden gate marking a dungeon, and a message says it is safe to enter and exit. Cecil asks if Jake will enter the dungeon, and after thinking, Jake agrees, since he needs to level up. A message appears saying he has entered the badger's den and must defeat the den mother. It sounds simple, but Cecil warns it can be dangerous. Soon, large badgers appear, stronger than usual. Jake smiles, ready for the challenge, while Cecil hides inside the necklace. Jake shoots arrows, killing one badger, but another attacks and bites his arm. Even in pain, Jake fights back and kills it. He reaches level 20 and keeps moving forward, fighting many badgers. Their poison doesn't affect him much because of his alchemist class. After clearing them, Cecil notices a golden box. Jake opens it and finds a cold short sword and gains a new dual-wielding skill. As he appreciates the rewards, a loud roar echoes. The powerful boss has finally appeared. Jake quickly moves deeper into the cave toward the sound and soon finds the den mother. She stands in the dark with glowing red eyes, looking very powerful. The system cannot show her full stats, which makes Cecil think her level is too high. Cecil suggests leaving, but Jake refuses. He believes she is a beast lord, much stronger than a normal boss. Jake takes position and prepares a poisoned power shot. He holds still for several seconds and then releases the arrow with great force. The den mother reacts instantly, blocking most of the attack and only getting slightly hit. She then tears off the poisoned part of her flesh, removing the effect. Jake is shocked by her intelligence. He tries to attack again, but she roars, breaking his arrow in the air. Then she rushes him and strikes his body hard, leaving a deep wound and spreading venom through him. Jake thinks his resistance will protect him, but the den mother's venom is much stronger. She doesn't attack again right away and instead watches him. Knowing he cannot survive another hit, Jake runs deeper into the cave. He asks Cecil for health potions, but they only have poison. This gives Jake an idea. He turns back, provokes the den mother, and throws a poison vial at her. She uses a sonic attack to break it, but the poison splashes on her face and starts damaging her. She roars loudly, calling more badgers to attack Jake. Surrounded, Jake uses his twin fang style and fights fiercely, killing many despite getting bitten. Covered in blood and tired, he faces the den mother again. They charge at each other and Jake strikes with full power, cutting her in half. The cave goes silent as he stands exhausted, letting out a loud, victorious roar. Jake just killed a beast lord, solo, with poison and improvisation. 3 months ago, he was eating lunch alone at his desk. Do not forget that. A blue message appears saying Jake has cleared the dungeon and earned extra rewards for doing it alone. Cecil comes out and looks at the destroyed cave, commenting on the mess Jake has made. Jake is too tired to joke and says he needs rest. Another message shows he reaches level 29, which pleases him. He tells Cecil they should leave quickly. Then a new skill appears called Basic Shadow Vault of Umbra. The name feels familiar to Jake, like something from the library, possibly linked to a god. Cecil worries it might upset the malefic viper, but Jake doesn't care. Later, on a mountain, Jake tests the skill. It looks like teleporting, but when he tries jumping to a tree, he crashes and falls. Cecil mocks him, and Jake admits it hurts, but says he will master it soon. He explains the skill isn't true teleportation. Jake explains that the skill lets him turn into a shadow and move very fast in a straight line. It looks like teleporting, but he cannot pass through solid objects. Cecil jokes about using it for robberies, and Jake says it might become stronger later. Far away in the sacred hall of the malefic viper, a woman meditates, thinking about her people's long faith. Many have started to doubt, but she still believes. A messenger arrives and says the Lord Protector has summoned her. Surprised, she quickly goes. On the way, she remembers the last time she sees him and feels something important has changed. When she arrives, she sees a glowing obelisk. The Lord Protector says it means the Viper is returning. She feels great joy and begins planning preparations. But before she finishes, the malefic Viper appears and calmly greets someone. The malefic Viper appears suddenly before the Lord Protector and Viridia. The Lord Protector is shocked after waiting so long, but the Viper smiles, hugs him, and praises his loyalty. Viridia watches in silence, surprised by how simple and personal the moment feels. When introduced, she bows deeply, but the Viper stops her, helps her up, and speaks kindly, even joking a little. He praises the Order for surviving, which makes her very happy. Snappy then asks why he returns now. The Viper says it is because of a new universe and mentions an old dungeon he makes. He then reveals that someone has actually cleared it. Snappy is amazed and asks if the person is a follower, but the Viper says no and smiles, saying he might have made a friend. Later at night in the forest, Jake sits by a fire eating mushrooms and joking with Cecil about missing steak. When Jake asks about Cecil's past, he avoids it. Suddenly, Jake senses danger and tells Cecil to hide in the necklace. Jake then finds a group nearby and tries to stay calm, saying he means no harm. But they accuse him, attack, and believe Richard's warning. Realizing they want to fight, Jake prepares to defend himself. Two men rush him, the red-haired swordsman and a scarred man. They attack fast, but Jake dodges and suddenly vanishes, using his shadow skill. He reappears far away and aims his bow, but a flaming arrow from another archer forces him to react. He realizes they are working as a team. Ice blocks his counterattack, and another power shot comes. Jake escapes again, then switches to blades as they charge. While fighting, another man tries to stab him from behind, but Jake lets it happen and strikes back instantly, killing one. The others freeze in shock as Jake calmly asks, "Who will die next?" A week before the fight, Jake speaks privately with the malefic Viper and asks how to get used to killing. He says he has changed from an office worker into someone who kills, and even if he doesn't regret it, it still feels heavy. The Viper shares a story about being betrayed when he first lives among people, which leads to a brutal fight that destroys 9 planets. He tells Jake that hesitation and mercy can get him killed. Back in the present, the blue-haired mage is shocked as Jake stands over her fallen ally and asks, "Who is next?" She tells the red-haired swordsman to hold Jake off while she prepares a powerful spell. The swordsman attacks, but Jake fights back calmly. When another flaming arrow comes, Jake uses his shadow skill to escape just in time. The red-haired swordsman jumps into the air for an attack, but realizes Jake has vanished again and tells everyone to find him. The masked archer is confused because his strong senses still cannot detect Jake. Suddenly, Jake appears behind him and kills him quietly. The blue-haired mage keeps charging her spell, telling others to stay calm. But before they can react, Jake's power shot hits the red-haired man and burns him to death. The masked archer tries to fight back, but Jake appears in front of him and kills him instantly. Jake then stabs the mage and tells her she will die soon unless she answers him. She says they come for revenge and blame Jake for everything. Jake tries to help her, but she refuses and dies. Afterward, Jake tells Cecil he doesn't understand it fully, but believes someone is setting him up. After the fight, Jake gathers all the bodies and places them together. He prepares them roughly and sets them on fire. The flames burn as Jake and Cecil stand quietly watching. Jake says he is sorry, believing none of them have to die, and promises to end the conflict caused by Richard and William. Cecil wishes the dead peace. A notification shows Jake reaches level 31, but he feels uneasy, like he gains points from something wrong. Cecil says he earns them, but Jake disagrees, saying this feels like pointless killing. They then think about what to do next. Jake knows he isn't strong enough to face a whole camp yet. Hayden finds it unbelievable that a mere archer is killing squads, after squads with none of them noticing. Richard emphasizes this is not some mere archer they are talking about. It is Jake Thayne, a guy who is determined to win the tutorial and acquire the highest rewards there is on offer. Hayden questions if Jake really killed his son. Richard strongly defends his view, saying his camp is not behind the attacks, and that the damage is too precise for his people. Hayden doubts him and asks how they even know about Jake. Adam steps in and explains Jake is his former co-worker and not someone violent, suggesting there might be another culprit. Richard dismisses this, pushes Adam aside, and insists Jake is the most likely threat. He proposes an alliance to hunt Jake, and Hayden agrees, sealing the deal. Adam stands silently, disappointed that peace fails while the real danger, William, remains hidden. Elsewhere, William stands among dead Raptors, satisfied and confident his plan is working. He believes Richard's meeting will lead to Jake's downfall. While checking his system, he gains a new skill called the Spear of Feroris. When a raptor attacks, he uses it, turning the creature into metal before smashing it. Watching this, William feels stronger than before and quietly promises himself he will win the tutorial no matter what. Adam is the only person in that room who is right about everything. He is also the only one no one is listening to. In the Viper's Hall, Viridia walks among candles, thinking about how the malefic Viper has somehow made a friend. She feels uneasy because this unknown man, Jake, seems important even before finishing the tutorial. She calls someone and asks him to gather all records about Jake. Elsewhere in the forest, Jake walks alone, calling for Adam and Caroline. He hears noise, prepares to fight, but finds Casper badly injured. Casper says William and Richard destroy the camp and blame Jake for leaving. Jake wakes up suddenly, realizing it is a nightmare. Cecil notices and jokes about mushrooms causing it. Jake says the dreams are getting worse. Cecil suggests they mean something deeper, but Jake disagrees. He offers a deal to share his story if Cecil shares his past. Jake then explains he comes into the tutorial with co-workers, but unlike them, he wants to grow stronger, which causes conflict, especially with Caroline. Jake says their arguments become serious, and he chooses to leave his group thinking it is right. Now he feels guilty because he might have left them in danger under Richard and William. In his dreams, he always sees his old co-workers dead, blaming him for leaving them. He wonders if staying could have saved them. Cecil listens and then shares his own past. He says he is once a weak member of the malefic Viper's cult, mocked by others. Some imps are kind, but they use him to test magic. One day, a necklace traps him in a void. He watches as others try, then give up and forget him. Years pass and no one returns. Cecil says being forgotten hurts the most. Jake compares it to leaving his friends, but Cecil says Jake isn't evil, just makes a hard choice. He tells Jake to fix things while he still can. Jake agrees and decides he will find Adam and face everything. Cecil spent years alone in a void while everyone who put him there moved on with their lives. Jake left his friends behind for weeks. Neither of them says this out loud. They do not have to. The next day, Jake and Cecil walk through the forest, trying to find Richard's camp, though they are unsure of the path. Cecil complains about not knowing where they are going and mentions they have only seen a few wolves, recalling how they attacked him earlier. Jake says he has already healed him, but Cecil jokes that his fear remains. Jake admits he doesn't know the exact location, but believes following the river will lead them to people since camps need water. After a while, Cecil asks what Jake will say when they arrive. Jake says he will first scout for traps, remembering Casper has learned to set them. Cecil points out Jake is avoiding the emotional side of meeting old friends. Jake agrees some are close, like Adam and Casper, but others might not welcome him. He wants to clear his name first. Suddenly, Jake stops and points at a strange, shimmering barrier ahead, realizing it is magic and possibly hiding something dangerous. Jake starts walking toward the strange barrier, curious, but Cecil quickly stops him and warns it can be dangerous, maybe even a trap that can trap him inside forever. Jake pauses and agrees, deciding finding his friends is more important, though he still wonders what is beyond it. Soon, they find a small camp hidden in the trees. Jake realizes it is Richard's camp. While watching, he notices people moving normally and points out the cabins and a blacksmith. Then he sees Joanna sitting with others. He is shocked and happy because she has lost her leg before, but now she is healed. This gives him hope that others might be alive too. Meanwhile, Adam wakes up in the camp and sees there are only 25 days left in the tutorial. As he steps outside, the camp is already busy. Suddenly, an arrow lands near him. He picks it up and sees it is a message from Jake asking to meet. A group of large bats scream as they fly down toward William in the forest. He rushes at them without fear, using his new weapon to cut one in half, stab another, and quickly destroy the last. When it ends, he stands among their broken, bloody bodies, thinking about how he has spent the whole morning hunting to improve his skills. He smiles, feeling strong and alive. As he walks back to camp, still covered in blood, he doesn't care how he looks anymore. Before, he would have cleaned himself, but now, with Richard's support, he feels untouchable. Reaching the camp, he notices it is unusually quiet. A group stands outside Caroline's cabin, watching something inside, but William ignores it. Inside, Jake's friends are talking with Richard. Bertram says Adam is attacked, but Adam explains it is just a message from Jake asking to meet. Richard suspects a trap, but Adam believes it can be a chance for peace. The discussion grows tense as they disagree. Richard tells them to stop arguing, saying Jake might be their friend, but he will not risk losing Caroline. Adam suggests going alone, but Caroline refuses and says she will go with him. Richard grows angry and asks how Adam can face someone like Jake, who can kill whole teams. Adam calmly says he doesn't plan to fight and will run if needed. He asks Richard to trust him just once, but Richard accuses him of possibly working with Jake. Tension rises until Caroline steps in and sends Adam outside. There, Adam tells Bertram things go badly, but he is still going. Bertram warns him, but Adam insists Jake won't hurt them. Caroline soon comes out smiling, saying Richard has agreed. She admits she forces it using her value as a healer. Adam thanks her and she promises to stand with him. Inside, Richard watches them with anger. Caroline just used her value as a healer to force Richard's hand. She thinks she is protecting Adam. She does not know Richard already planned for this. Jake stands in the forest, checking the area carefully. He sees a big rock, a small river, and a tree stump, and knows this is the meeting spot. Cecil asks why his friends choose this place. Jake thinks it is because it is close to their camp, maybe so they can escape quickly if needed. Cecil tells him not to think so negatively, but Jake says people can change after a month with Richard. He still trusts Adam and Casper, but not everyone. He warns that William is dangerous. Jake prepares by sharpening arrows and tells Cecil to stay in the necklace for safety. Meanwhile, Adam, Caroline, and Bertram arrive. Adam tells Bertram to stay calm and avoid a fight. When they reach the spot, Adam greets Jake. They speak politely, but the mood feels tense as Jake begins explaining why he calls them. Jake explains that he has been attacked by people who believe he has done something terrible even though he knows nothing about it. He says someone must have framed him, and this meeting is to clear things up. Caroline suddenly asks how many people he has killed. Jake admits he has fought and killed in 3 situations, but says it is only self-defense and not enough to start a war. Bertram doubts him, but Jake stays firm. Adam supports Jake, saying William must have lied. Jake warns them that William has tried to ambush him. Adam then says he suspects William may have killed Casper, shocking Jake, who doesn't know Casper is dead. Hearing this, Jake becomes emotional and cries. Caroline grows uneasy, saying they shouldn't have come. Suddenly, Jake senses someone nearby and aims his arrow. Moments later, Richard steps out calmly, smiling as if amused. Jake has killed dozens of people in this forest without flinching. Hearing that Casper might be dead breaks him in 30 seconds. Pay attention to what he actually cares about. Richard steps out and casually greets Jake as if they are old friends. Jake keeps his bow ready and immediately accuses Adam of setting him up. Adam denies it, and Richard confirms Adam doesn't know, saying he keeps him uninformed on purpose. Adam then angrily questions Caroline, who admits she knows and apologizes, leaving Adam hurt and betrayed. Richard then tells Jake to come with him and promises to clear everything, even offering to forgive past actions. Jake doesn't trust him and demands the others step back. Suddenly, many people appear from the forest, including Hayden and his group, fully surrounding Jake. Adam is shocked, realizing it is all a trap. Jake uses his senses and sees he is completely surrounded, which frustrates him. Richard gives him a choice, to surrender or die. Before Jake can decide, Hayden attacks, launching a huge fireball. Jake jumps away just in time and fires back, but Hayden blocks the arrow with a shield. Richard tells his warriors to stay back, while Hayden orders the mages to trap Jake. The ground cracks under him as spells are cast, and Hayden throws a fireball. Jake escapes using Shadow Vault and appears on a tree stump, but attacks follow instantly. Adam begs Richard to stop, saying Jake is innocent, but Richard refuses. Richard planned this from the moment Adam showed him the arrow. Every step since then has been Richard moving pieces. Jake walked straight into it. Desperate, Adam then looks over at Caroline and asks for her help. Hesitant, Caroline screams that there is nothing she can do. Arrows and spells rain down, leaving Jake injured and struggling. His movement skill stops working, and vines wrap around him, holding him still. Arrows hit his shoulder and leg, forcing him to his knees. Surrounded and bleeding, Jake is trapped. Richard steps forward with his sword ready to kill him. Adam shouts in panic, while Cecil, watching from the necklace, is terrified. Jake stays silent, knowing he is about to die as Richard raises his sword for the final strike. Richard's sword is raised at Jake. He has an arrow struck in his shoulder and his thigh. Bloodied, Jake realizes it's over for him as his breathing becomes fast and heavy. Every second that passes is taking Jake closer to death, but he is overwhelmed by pain and betrayal. Even during his last moments, he hopes Cecil will be freed by someone. Adam tries to run to him, but Caroline holds him back. Suddenly, a notification appears, upgrading his power to Moment of the Primal Hunter. Jake's eyes open wide as a strong, wild energy rises inside him. Time seems to slow as Richard's sword comes down. Then Jake releases a powerful roar, breaking the vines and blasting everyone away. Richard and others are thrown back in shock. The ground shakes as the force spreads. Jake stands up, changed and fierce, filled with raw instinct. Remember the hook, a loyal knight, executed, reborn. The system knew what was inside him before he did. This is what it was waiting for. Adam is stunned. Caroline takes one step back. Her hand goes to her mouth. She does not speak. Richard stands again and orders his men to attack, and the army charges toward Jake. The soldiers move together with shields and weapons ready, trying to surround Jake. He stays calm, pulls out his twin blades, and rushes forward, cutting through them quickly. Richard tells his men to form a shield wall, but Jake jumps up and throws poison vials at them. The glass breaks and the liquid burns through their bodies, breaking their formation. Adam watches in shock as Jake fights alone against everyone. Then Hayden steps forward and uses a powerful spell, growing fiery wings and flying into the air. He rushes toward Jake at great speed. Jake barely dodges, seeing how deadly the attack is. Hayden attacks again, saying Jake cannot escape. Jake tries to use his shadow skill, but Cecil warns him a barrier is blocking it. Jake looks around and sees Caroline. She apologizes, saying she cannot let him leave. Meanwhile, Jake freezes in disbelief.